All right, I'm Josh,
I'm Nick.
and this is the Hypertropic Movies first official podcast. We are both from Kansas City, Missouri, and today we are going to be talking about wine.
Yep.
Right now, we have a little bit more of a simplified audio setup at the moment, so you may hear some weird audio quality, but just bear with us for at least these first few episodes as we kind of get things set up how we like it. But at least for today, as on the topic of wine, we're going to be basically talking about how we got into wine as a pair of people who you really wouldn't expect to become winos.
Right. Before anything else, I'm going to be a little obnoxious from the very beginning.
Really?
For the record, we haven't had any wine tonight. No, you're starting the intro for this very first episode, and I wanted to make it all official, and then you started saying things, and I was like, you're like saying stuff, and I was like, yep. I was like, I'm just gonna not say anything just to piss him off at the very beginning.
I wasn't really pissed off so much as thrown off.
I would be like, you're gonna say 95% of everything, and it's gonna be really awkward, and I'm gonna be dying laughing inside.
Well, it worked.
I'm gonna prank you at the very beginning. No, I don't know. Point is, first episode, so I don't know. I'm trying to be stupid, I guess. I don't know. All right. So, yeah. So.
Wine.
Right. So. The first thing that's, I guess, important to acknowledge is, being in Kansas City, we discovered that Missouri is kind of like one of those up-and-coming states in the United States for wine.
It was purely by accident, too.
Right. Do you want to tell, the beginning of that story?
So, about 4 years ago is when this started. We had a little get-together down at the Lake of the Ozarks, for anyone who knows it. And we were just looking for something to do, and one of our good friends discovered that there was a winery nearby. And in our heads, as people who were in our early 20s, were like, hey, it's cheap, it's alcohol, let's go. It doesn't matter if we don't like it, it's going to get us tipsy. So we went.
Yeah. So this place, it's called Seven Springs Winery down there in the Ozarks. It's a really nice venue to begin with. For someone who doesn't ever go to wineries, one of my favorite things about going to wineries is each venue is very unique. It just looks really cool. So they'll have their building there, and hopefully there's a little vineyard there, and then just a little something scenic to look at. And the Seven Springs, it being in the Ozarks, they have this back patio area, but it's like a multi-level patio area in the back, and they have all these tables set up, and then this big balcony area, and then it just overlooks all these rolling hills with the trees of this big Ozark forest down there, and it's extremely pretty looking. And so I guess starting off, one of my favorite things about going to wineries is just the venues are so cool to just go to. And even if you don't like wine, just being a tourist and getting to check out these venues is really cool.
And even in just Missouri, and we've really only visited wineries in Missouri and Kansas, but the number of different styles and sizes and decorations and everything we've seen has been vastly different between each one, and each one is unique and still awesome in its own way.
Yeah, definitely. So we went to the Seven Springs Winery, and this was August of 2013, I think, is when we did this.
Roughly around then, yeah, just about 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the whole passport program thing. They had this program called the Passport Program, where each winery in Missouri that's part of this program, which I think was 120 different wineries.
At the time, it was almost right on the dot at 120.
Right. You this little passport, and each winery you visit, you get a stamp, and then you can enter those codes for the stamps online, and you win free stuff. If you got 100 wineries in 1 year, you got a free dinner or something like that. And then if you had less than that, you got other gifts or whatever.
So again, us in our early 20s, in addition to finding out that we could get slightly drunk for cheap, at the same time, we're like, hey, free stuff for going to get alcohol? Let's do it. And so we made it our mission to get free stuff by drinking wine.
Yeah.
And in doing so, we kind of just randomly discovered this whole culture in a state that we had originally thought had nothing to do with wine.
Right. Yeah. Because you and I and another one of our friends, we had gone to, I think, a couple other wineries earlier that year. Like I think in Denver, because for some reason Denver has wineries over there. And then I think Indianapolis, when I had
We
come up to
went
visit you a couple years before that.
we went to one in Indianapolis and one or two in Denver, and at the time those were just more, again, kind of just to do something, but we never took it seriously. But when we started doing these in Missouri, very quickly we started actually taking these really seriously. The first couple, it was still just kind of fun and jokingly. We would try the wine, but it was just in the back of our heads, it was still just kind of something funny. But after two or three of them, we really got into it suddenly, and we started actually planning out and trying to find all these different wine trails and all the different wineries around here.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, just that passport program kind of blew our minds because we didn't realize there's over 120 wineries in Missouri. And so we're like, oh, wow, we have to go check all these out now. And so the passport program lasted until the end of 2013. And then unfortunately, right when we were in the very midst of us wine tasting, they canceled it for 2014. But now, this being 2017, they have like another similar kind of program that's actually a little bit better. So it's back
They
for
have
anyone who wants to do it in Missouri. It is back, but it's just a little bit different than how it was before.
Yep, they have effectively revitalized it. But good thing is that passport program had its intended effect before it was canceled and got us into wine tasting. And actually, even after it was canceled, in the 4 years that we've been wine tasting, right now our estimate is that we've been to roughly like 60 or 70 different unique wineries in Missouri, and then we're not sure how many in Kansas.
Yeah, I'm a huge nerd, so I keep a journal.
One
And
day we'll have an exact number, just not
yes,
yet.
and so like about a month ago, we and our other friend who does this with us, we took out my old journals and we were trying to actually calculate or get a tally of all the wineries we've been to, and we didn't finish it yet because it's tedious. But we're thinking somewhere between 60 and 70 unique wineries that we've checked out, which is pretty crazy. When we first started wine tasting, we would go on these like 2-day trips where we would or even 1-day trips where we do like 4, 5, 6 wineries in one day.
Yeah, a lot of it was just kind of Saturdays that we all had free. We'd start about 10 a.m., choose a driver, and then hit as many as our livers could take.
Yeah, or our wallets could take because wine tasting isn't that expensive, but like you want to be courteous and like not tip or not buy anything. Usually we find bottles of wine we want to buy, but yeah, it can get kind of expensive if you're not careful.
And that's the thing. The tastings themselves are generally fairly affordable, but as you start going to a bunch of these wineries, you definitely find ones you like. And like even if you only like the sweet stuff, there's plenty of good stuff out there for the sweet wines, and you end up, even if you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm not going to buy any today," you end up walking away with a bottle after you've gone to 4 or 5 of them.
Oh yeah,
And that adds up
definitely.
after a while.
Yeah, but it's also totally worth it because it's so cool. It's really fun.
I'll just tell myself I'm buying happiness for later.
Yeah. What I hate is when I buy bottles of wine and I forget about it, and then there was a party we went to recently, I think, and I forgot to bring my freaking bottles with me,
Damn it, Nick.
and I'm like, oh, yeah,
See, I usually try not to forget that.
yeah. Um, I'm suddenly realizing we have so much we can talk about wine, and we're how many minutes in? We're like 9.5 minutes
About
in.
10 minutes in.
So what we'll do because we want to make these episodes, we're thinking like 15 minutes for the wine ones specifically. We'll talk about what we can here, and then maybe do another episode immediately or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll start this series is probably going to end up being right now we're just talking about how we got into it. It's probably going to end up as the episodes go along transitioning into what as someone who has never tasted wine but would like to get into it, what to expect. And kind of what we found with our first wineries is And what I've even here talking to most people is everyone's scared that they're only going to like sweet wine, and then that's wrong. And that's not true. I mean, we definitely only liked the sweet wines at first. It's all we could really actually enjoy. But what we went out of our way to do was at every winery, we went out of our way to try every version of wine they had, even if it was the dries, the semi dries, and all that. We would still try them, even if we didn't like them. And what kind of just happened, and you hear people say this all the time, but over these years, we have slowly transitioned away from enjoying the sweets to right now, I'm at about the semi dries and semi sweets. I'm right in the middle.
Yeah,
And
me too.
it was of no effort of mine other than just trying the wines. That's it.
It really is. Now, can I name drop a specific winery?
Sure.
Okay, so when we first started getting into wine tasting, we discovered Odessa Winery out in Odessa, Missouri. Great venue, and we'll probably talk about that more later. And we could do a full episode just on Odessa
Oh,
Winery.
he could have his own episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But what I'm trying to mention here is when we were just starting to wine taste when we discovered Odessa. And we went there and we were just thought it was the best winery ever. And it's really good, but it's very much a lot of sweet wines.
Yeah.
And now that our palate has kind of become more accustomed to the wide variety of, wine tastes, we're starting to, veer away from things that are so overly sweet, like grape juice sweet. And because of that, like, we went back to Odessa later, and it was still good, but it wasn't what we were really looking for in wine anymore. And that's just what happens. If you're new to drinking wine, you're going to want sweet stuff because that's all you can really tolerate, but you'll quickly get past that. I mean, that was our experience, at least.
That's what happened with us. And I've met plenty of people who just, even their first few wines, they already like the dry stuff. But for a majority of the people, the sweet wines are going to be what you like first, and you won't like anything else, and that is perfectly fine. I've never met anyone who knocks you for that. It's to be expected. Doesn't matter when you start in life, liking sweet wines is fine, and you just have to understand that. Just give yourself the chance to try other wines, and just eventually and naturally you'll just start to like the drier stuff and the deeper stuff, and kind of find your own niche and what works for you and what doesn't.
It's something else that's important. Sweetness versus dryness, it's not so much a matter of being like, oh, well, you're a novice, so you must only like sweet stuff, and if you like sweet stuff, you are a novice. It's not how that works, because once you get really accustomed to drinking wines, you really start acknowledging the fact that the taste and the experience of drinking wine is based a lot on like food pairings.
Oh yeah.
That sort of thing. And so, for example, there's a lot of dry reds you're going to want to pair with, like, red meats like steak or whatever. There's a lot of dry reds that have like a spicy pepper, like a peppery taste to them. They're going to be really good with like Italian dishes, like, with red sauce, like pizza or something like that. And then sweeter wines might be like a drink you have at like a fancy party, or something like that. But so here's a question for you, Josh. Like, what would you think would be a good food pairing for like a sweet white? Because that's something I'm not even sure I know.
A sweet white, just in my understanding, traditionally you're going to want to pair that with a really lightweight, like angel food cake, or
oh yeah, okay,
like a very like vanilla ice cream, very lightweight, sugary desserts. And even then, a lot of your sweeter wines don't. A lot of them aren't even paired with anything. You'll see them just. People will call them table wines. So there's a lot of reasons for that name, but the main one being a table wine is a wine that you drink on its own, and is in a way kind of meant to be drunk, had in larger quantities than other wine.
And that is true. And I think you can drink pretty much any wine just on its own without a pairing, but it's definitely more common to drink a sweet one on its own.
Yeah.
I would say, because like someone like, especially like sweet reds, some people like call that a dessert, because it really can be pretty much.
And one thing I discovered, and I think Nick can agree with me here too, and I'm going to sound extremely cheesy when I say this, and I know how I sound when I say it. Drinking wine and learning about wine is honestly very similar to like appreciating art. It's
Well,
the
it is
more you
art.
get into it, the more you discover the different tastes, and the more you get creative with, okay, should I drink this with steak, or should I drink this with cheddar cheese? It's an art form, and I know it's cheesy sounding, but it's true.
Well, but it in
Yeah,
a way it is art
yeah,
too. It's just a different kind of art.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's food art,
yeah, exactly.
but
Um,
like you kind of want to go in knowing that you're not just drinking a glass of beer to have fun. You're drinking the wine, trying to learn what does it taste like, what does it smell like, what does this go with? Do I like it? Do I not like it? And
exactly.
it will be a different answer for everybody.
Right.
I like Pinot Noirs very much, or I don't know what's your favorite at the moment actually.
My like of any kind of wine.
Like what's your go-to at the moment?
Oh God. Probably Traminette. Traminette is right kind of the border between off dry and semi sweet, depending on just the winery.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you get deeper into it, you will eventually find the kind that you like, and it will be different than the ones that your friends like. Uh, if you start off with sweets, everyone's gonna like the sweet wines. It's sugary wine. It's fun. It's like drinking Kool-Aid. Everyone likes Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, like the last part that I at least personally found fun about the wineries is the people you meet there. Like you just meet the craziest people, and they all have great tips. A lot of them have been drinking wine for at least twice as long as we already have, and they teach you the best ways to taste it, how to kind of better notice the nose of the wine, and usually they're half drunk and hilarious to listen to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there are a few wine areas like Herman, Missouri. They have all these wineries really close to each other, so you can actually get on a trolley, and the trolley will take you from winery to winery, and we'll meet people on the trolley, and like most of them, well, not most, but a lot of them are completely sloshed by like midday.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so fun because it's like it's part of this culture that we didn't even know existed before a couple years ago or whatever. Um, and it's fun, and you'll like, and even besides the Herman, we've done winery like trips where we just go from winery to winery in one weekend, and it happens to be that the people in one winery we see at the next one too. And it's like, hey friend, how you doing?
It'll happen. You'll meet random people, and it just happens. But it's one like it's definitely there's a lot of things you'll think that you shouldn't want to start wine tasting for, but really no matter what, it's worth just trying it because there's always going to be at least one wine you like, and it's a great way to kind of get into it.
Oh yeah, and so we're gonna have this little series here where we just kind of talk about wine. So this is your little introduction, and stay tuned for our commentary and insights to come.
All right, and we are signing out. Thank you.